all you who are joining us on this post-game show. Post-Detroit Red Wings ass-kicking, or just, dare I say, non-showing from the Minnesota Wild. Thank you all for joining. We are going to jump right to your comments here, and then we'll get into our, Sota Pod recording and talk about the state of Minnesota Wild moving forward, the season post-American Thanksgiving, the standings, where we're at so far at this point in the season, as well as some other NHL tidbits. Hoppy, we're going to jump right to the comments here because John and Co. are going ham, and we absolutely love it. Guys, smash that like button if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Sean saying, I definitely did not expect to win 5 of the first 19 games this year. I added a little only. What's up, Mike? Good to see you. Tank. Let's go. We need some good trade bait for real run at the cup in 2 to 3 years. I don't know if tank is possible right now. Given the given everything that's going on the last few years contracts wise. Sean saying at the moment the Wild have 19% chance of a top 2 pick if someone ended today. Yeah. What's up, John? Like I said, John, very active here. We'll get to a couple of your comments here, John. How about the PK when the Wings had it inside 15 feet, just taking pot shots at point blank range? Oh, man. I mean, do you want to talk about special teams just a little bit here, Hoppy? I mean, just to answer and react to John's comment here.
You know, as far as special teams go, I mean, do we want to start on the kill or power play?
Let's do kill.
Man, it's just one of those things where you know what they're doing. They made it pretty clear all game. They were telestrating, we're giving it to Perron. He's going to rip it. It's going to go in. I don't know how you make zero effort to try and eliminate that. Even if you want to say for the first goal, that wasn't the case, even though it was, again, very clear to anyone watching. They're just not adaptable because they're so in their own heads about how the penalty kill has gone all year. Like, that's been one of the biggest narratives for why the team has been so bad. And they had a system that's improved, and they're just not going to break from it at all. It's too rigid. They're set in exactly what they think they're doing, and the Red Wings exploited that.
Typical Dean Evison fashion too. And I know he's not running the power play, but it's just like he's
penalty kill.
Penalty kill, sorry, but he's the lead man behind the bench too, and it's just like more of it kind of worked at one point. It improved from last year, so we're just gonna stick with it, even though teams now are being able to read it perfectly. Sean saying if we truly tank, Dean's gone unless either it's Guerin setting the team up to lose down the stretch, or Leopold just doesn't feel like paying 2 head coaches next year.
Both are possible.
Lucas, what's up, Lucas? Thank you so much for joining. Fire Dean. Mike going, I mean, a theory.
In theory.
Next year could be a tank year too. So does Dino stay through this contract? Scary proposition.
I don't know. I think Leopold is less inclined to miss the playoffs back-to-back years than he is to pay 2 coaches at once. So
yeah. Look at this. Katie, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. The poll question is can the Wild turn it around this year? And some positivity here in the live chat, so I like it. I think they'll turn it around to some degree, but not enough to get to the postseason. Like I said, keyword some positivity. RJ, we know RJ, we know. And Tuesday, November 28th, the St. Louis Blues play the Wild as well. Keep the comments coming, guys.
Like, everyone's got their own theories, and everyone's kind of asking the same poll question on Twitter. What is the biggest disappointment this year? I'm curious from the chat, like, what do you see as the biggest issue? It can be coaching. It can be Kaprizov, Boldy, blue line, goaltending, special teams. Might be something that I missed there. But I want to hear, I guess, what the general consensus is here of what the biggest disappointment is.
Yeah, agreed. Hoppy got to chase those postseason dollars.
Gotta.
Why Integrity Farms? What's up, Integrity? Wild our cheeks, bro. John saying leadership.
Okay. I'll bite. What would you like to see from leadership, or who should be in leadership that's not? That's going to fix it. Not saying he's wrong. I'm just like, let's expand on that thought.
Yeah, because the guys who I would have assumed and picked to be the leaders kind of are in that locker room anyways right now, and it's absolutely insane. Like I did not expect them to be they're the 29th team in the National Hockey League right now. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's not good.
Discipline, PK, and goaltending, says Integrity Farms.
Well, but those are three very different things. Which one's the worst? This team is positive. God damn.
Oh my goodness.
That just takes me straight to the dentist system episode.
I know.
I got the results. You got the HIV. You got the AIDS. Noggin.
It's just another typical Wild game this season. Like nothing really improved. The players who've been playing
I don't agree.
Really? You think it was one like a worse? Like is it the worst showing or what?
No, you said that nothing has improved. I do think in general the 5-on-5 play looked better. There's definitely been some blemishes. Don't get me wrong. And for the first half of the game, I think Matt Boldy was on a milk carton, but the rest of the game, he actually looked better, both defensively and offensively. First half of the game, though, he was like literally skating off the ice and going past loose pucks to get to the bench. Like you don't want to see that from your top guys. But a lot of what we were seeing, like just getting the pucks in deep, being able to play the low game, being able to play strong on the half boards. Like, again, is it perfect? No. But I didn't have any major concerns there. If there's no power plays, completely different game, except for one huge defensive lapse where Larkin ends up scoring, which that one was brutal, dude. I want to pull that one up quick. Let me find it.
It's just crazy to me to think, and again, this is where it's a typical Wild game because like I just roll my eyes at this team this season in particular, where they can end the game down, losing the game, yet they almost have 40 shots. I don't know, did they hit 40 shots by the end of the game? They were close anyways, and yet the first 10 minutes, 0 shots on net, and obviously give up the first goal in textbook Wild fashion. But it's just waves that I can't handle. And yeah, there were moments, especially in the second period, like you pointed out there, that they did look good 5-on-5, but like they started off the game looking so bad, dude, like horrendous.
No, agreed. They started poor, but you said that there was no improvement. This right here is the opposite of an improvement. We'll let it run through a couple of times here. But the biggest thing I'm seeing here is you've got two guys that basically gave up on the play. I think Brock Faber did exactly what he needed to, following his guy through to the backside of the crease. You've got Evison, who just gave up on the play there, and Brodin, who was never even in on the play, which it's funny because last week, someone tried to make the comment on the overtime goal that like, oh, that's all on Brodin, didn't back check, whatever. Like here, I'm going to freeze this. Like, Brodin came in as soft as could be. And you've got Evison, who just turns and puck watches, completely loses his guy here in Larkin. Faber does the right thing and follows the guy to the backside. And it is just like an embarrassing, like, oh, he's all alone. No one tried to stop him. Goal.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the goals this game are on Phil Gustafsson.
No, he didn't.
Did he look like great and super comfortable? I wouldn't argue that necessarily, but he is the last reason that we would have lost this game. He played as well as you could have expected.
Yeah. And thanks guys for the comments. We'll get back to them in just a sec here. But like I said, 7-game losing streak, 29th in the NHL, minus 20 goal differential, continue to give up the first goal, bad penalties, trash special teams. Like, it's piling up, man. It's piling up. And they're getting too comfortable at the bottom of the standings right now. Mike Owen.
Comfortable? I don't know.
It looks like it. It looks like it. Yeah, I'd say leadership too. Spurgeon's pregame interview just looked defeated, or a guy making 7.5 Mill that can't be traded. I can't tell, honestly.
I don't know. I disagree with what you said there. I think you're way overgeneralizing for a few players that are completely absent. I think there's plenty of this roster that is trying, and they're like pushing to gut out some kind of. It's not even about scoring goals at this point. It's about just like establishing some kind of offensive rhythm. And you can tell that there are players that care. And I think Ryan Hartman's the perfect example where he went full rat mode, absolute like criminal on the ice, which we enjoy seeing, but you don't do that kind of shit if you don't care.
Yeah.
Like that, he is getting engaged in the game in a different way. Again, has he played great? No. Does that mean he doesn't care? No.
We need like that text under the clip of Trouba just going full McSorley and being like, you don't do this if you don't care.
Yeah, no, totally. That was just a hockey play gone wrong. Everyone gets their sticks up and just lumberjacks people across the side of the face.
I think he's living in the 80s.
He is the biggest loser in the league. And that is a league that still has Tom Wilson, which is just like beyond impressive that Trouba has taken over and Wilson's like, holy shit, I can just slink to the background.
I'm not the biggest piece of shit anymore. Yeah. Sick.
I'm surprised he didn't take offense to it.
Glenn, what's up, Glenn? Thank you so much for joining. When you're slow, you take penalties. Do you think that's an issue? Because everyone on Twitter, that's a huge narrative of why the Wild aren't great this season, because they lack the speed.
That's not totally unfounded.
John saying, if we ever in a rebuild, it's not a tear shit down if possible. They're just in such a tough position to retool, rebuild it all now, given what they just did and some of the contracts still in the books.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do unless you want to start moving some of your prospects as part of that. But the hope is right now with the progress that a lot of them are making is that they are part of that rebuild, right?
Yeah.
Now, is this the time that you move a guy like an Adam Beckman if he's never going to get a fucking chance to play up here? Yeah. Get him out for his sake and for yours. You can get something before you completely diminish any value that he has. Like players like that, move on. Him, Sammy Walker. There are teams that would use these players. We clearly won't. And yeah, it's good to have them down there for leadership in Iowa. So you're just going to do that for this year and then say peace? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
It's weird to me. Very weird.
Asset management. They need to, well, I guess we'll see how they manage these assets based on this year and next year moving forward. But
this
Katie,
is Judd Brackett's fault. Brackett's giving us way too many assets.
Brackett's been drafting way too well, dude. What's going on here?
Yeah. God damn it, Judd.
Lack of urgency, says Katie. The fourth line is tearing it up out there, which yes, and Hoppy and Z in particular have continued to say that like the bottom six has looked good throughout this season.
Freddie was not good today. He was bad.
With the expectation of Rossi and Ecker, where's our top six? Almost
exception, Isha. Exception. Not expectation.
Yeah, Eck always looks good, man. Eck always looks good.
I think that we're starting to at least see glimpses of Kaprizov coming back. And again, bad start to the year. Zuccarello has looked much better of late. And that's not speaking directly to today's game, but the last handful of games, I don't have complaints with Zuccarello. He's largely been doing what he needs to. But yeah, it's Eck and Rossi, and that's it as far as the top six is concerned.
What's up, Nick? Even on just expected numbers, the Wild have the 30th ranked penalty kill, and on the kill, they have the second worst goaltending. Not a great combo indeed, sir. Nick, thank you so much for joining, buddy.
So, Nick, anyone else, do we think that is goaltending that makes the kill bad, or the kill that makes the goaltending look bad? And don't pick on Dean's son. Yes, John, I know that. It'd be really bizarre if they got rid of Dean, though, and then still had like 4 more years of Freddie. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah. This team lacks discipline, but Gus is settling in, says Tegrity Farms. Young Tane, what's up? Eck. We love Eck. Love when Hartsey goes full rap mode. Yes, indeed.
He is like, he'll never compare to a Marchand, but like He is very much in like the B tier of that kind of discussion. Like he's creeping up into it. And again, that's a big reason that his contract I was the least concerned with, because you can stick him up and down the lineup and he can adapt his game. Again, hasn't been awesome of late, but he's still at least finding ways to get engaged in the play.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, big shout out to the crowd we have here today, guys. Smash that like button, subscribe, keep the comments coming. We're gonna get through them all. Tony, Big Ticket, KG. Let's not give Leopold a pass either. He has mandated to give general manager Jim. I was gonna say Jim Benning, Billy Guerin. That's how distraught I am right now. I'm going back to those dark days. That they must make the playoffs and not bottom out. I know Fenton was a bad GM, but that was a big reason he was let go.
To be clear, Fenton wasn't a bad GM. He was a bad person. He was a horrible human, and that is why he's gone. He actually was a good talent evaluator in general. The only exception will definitely be the Niederreiter for Rask trade. Outside of that, like most of what he did had positive impacts on the team within the next couple of years. So I'll defend that he knows hockey. He is just an absolute loser of a person.
There you go. This will be a good power play in 3 years. And the defense needs it.
You didn't know who Levshunov is?
I mean, I'm familiar, but I ain't on the Judd'z Budz show. That's UNZ's show.
Well, I know, but don't sit there and pretend like, oh yeah, that will be sick. Thanks, Sean.
I mean, Lambos is good, so anybody with him I know is good. Nick's saying it's both. That's the problem. 77 Racing. Why did Billy G give no trade clauses to the last round of signings?
Country club, right?
There you go.
Which I hate that everyone's like trying to compare it to the Parise, Suter, Koivu regime, right? And I understand why they are, but it's completely different. Do I think that there's a level of country club that is being established? Maybe. Too early to say. I think that that's like a lot to throw on them for just a bad start, which any team can endure. But to give that kind of protection, give reasonable term and value to older players who are very happy being in Minnesota, it certainly cultivates a weird sense of security that maybe that's part of what's happening. But again, the three players in question, Foligno, Zuccarello, and Hartman, I largely don't have problems with those players. So I don't really like that narrative. Could it evolve to that? Yep. But this isn't like toxic personalities in the locker room like what we saw with Parise, Suter, Koivu. And yes, Koivu is part of that, by the way, people. Everyone likes to ignore it, but he was.
Yeah,
and the Gophers win in overtime. Here we go.
Hey, there's some positivity for this Sunday. Let's go.
It's like the only positivity. Thank God the Vikings don't play until Monday.
I know. I was like, man, there's just so much bad juju to start off the day here. I was like, I just don't want to. I didn't even want to like watch the Vikings if
Sean, I'll argue that they didn't really deploy Donato well at all, and I think that they were moving on from Coyle regardless. I actually liked what Donato brought, but they again buried him on the fourth, occasionally third line. He does not suit that style of play. He is a goal scorer. And weird, at the start of the year when he played with Bedard, he looked pretty damn good.
By the way, Mort Siders in the chat here. Dixon. My brother said the game was a lot closer than it shows. Yeah, the second period was actually more so the Wild being the better team and Detroit chasing them, but the first period, man, was just awful.
Now, Sean, to this point, though, I don't know that the Wild will necessarily be in a spot to get Levshunov. I do think Silyev, I think it's Silyev, he is the one that I actually think could be realistic and would be a ton of fun to add to the pool. And I know Sean is always on our live streams, so he's heard Z talk about him plenty, but basically a mutant of a human, like incredible skater, incredible hands, and the dude's as big as Chara.
Yeah.
Yes, he's Russian, so obviously tread lightly.
Yeah. Will Minnesota be a mid-pack team for the foreseeable future?
I think that's hard to say. I mean, their whole identity for years has been mid-pack team, right? So why should now be any different?
And now they're a losing team. They're not a mid-pack team. They're a losing team.
Right. Which, I mean, make arguments either way. They'll start winning and fans will be pissed. Then they'll lose and fans will be pissed. Like they've dug themselves enough of a hole that there isn't really a solution right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, all right, we're going to ride this out. But you do kind of want them to either figure it out right now on this next stretch of 4 games that is very winnable. Not necessarily for the Wild, but just average NHL team.
Yeah.
Very winnable games.
Yep.
You got to figure it out. Like this stretch is pretty much going to determine where individual players sit, where Dean sits. There's going to be some decisions made if this team doesn't turn it around. And like, when I say turn it around, like they need to win 3 of the next 4 almost.
Oh yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Now, Isha, got to ask you, next game, is it a must win or a can't lose?
It's a must win when you're on a 7 freaking game losing streak. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is 7 now, huh?
It's 7, dude. It's 7. Like, don't let those couple points in the
That's
OT
tough.
games like fool you guys. Like, this is a 7 game losing streak. One of the worst in the NHL right now, if not the worst, if I'm not mistaken. Like active right now, which is crazy.
It is quite bad.
Even the Sharks don't have an active losing streak as much as the Wild right
now. that hurts.
Right.
I mean, Kalen Addison, though, total liability.
Yeah. Oh, did you see Jay Fresh, Dom's crony, taking jabs at Canucks Twitter last night as soon as the Sharks were up?
I mean, everyone should take jabs at any team that's down to the Sharks. Let's be fair.
But like, it's just funny now because, and in fairness to Jay Fresh, I love it. Like, I'm obviously like, I just love this conflict because like Canucks fans are coming together on Twitter, which is something you never see. It's usually very split. But like Jay Fresh just knows how to trigger them because like hundreds of comments. Where are you when they're playing well? Where are you when they're beating the Sharks? Blah 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 blah. Jay Fresh just like one word answers like, oh, this is just amazing. This whole.
Oh no, but it's what he wants. They're
no, I know exactly.
Hand. Like
he has them wrapped around his.
You understand though, it's not even about Dom. It's about the fact that the most polarizing fan base has to be the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh yeah.
So chuck that grenade and run away.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to get a rise and to get anything going, whether it's talking them up when they're bad or talking shit when they're good.
No, absolutely.
They will lose it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get into some more Wild talk throughout this show, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the comments coming. We will address them in between between our segments here. But let's get into the first segment of the show, the Hoppy Hour here. What are you sipping on, dude?
Oh, baby. We have a collab beer called Hybrid Minds from Elm Creek Brewing out in Champlin and the great folks over at Barrel Theory.
Oh,
bam.
Nice.
It's a nice kind of holographic can. Draws you in, but it's funny. I've only had good Elm Creek beer in cans. For whatever reason, the one time I went into the tap room, I just did not have good beers. I am absolutely going to go back and refresh because again, this one delightful, and this is a hazy triple IPA, 10%er. Yep.
Dang.
But it is like triple IPAs for me are a big dice roll. Like they're either incredible or it's just like, oh my God, too much.
Yeah.
Like, like it's fatiguing to drink them. This one, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to drink 3 of them, but it goes down pretty easy for what it is. And I don't know what more I can even say about that. It's definitely going to be like, for those of you that are of my palate that have listened for a while, it's going to be brighter. It's going to be more of kind of the tropical vibe, right? Pineapple. I even get like kind of a hint of peach in there, but it's just a very clean, bright. I wouldn't call it overly sweet, but it's definitely fruity. So if you're into that, definitely Hybrid Minds collab, Barrel Theory and Elm Creek.
Nice. too early for me to crack the beers here today, but last
Too early.
Yeah. Well,
1:30 on a
I
Sunday.
have some work to do today as well. But last night I was sipping on some Dead Frog Brewing. Absolutely love Dead Frog. They have the only and best peanut. It's not the only one. There's a couple other ones,
The
but
only and best. Wow, that's
what I like.
poorly done.
I'm rephrasing it. There's a few peanut butter and chocolate peanut butter porters out west here, but nothing compares to the Nutty Uncle. Dead Frog does a great job with that one. They also, and Shane, shout out to Shane, he's the one who hooked me up with this one. They had a brown ale on nitro, and my God, I mean, I say it's everything on nitro is pretty good, but
Nitro's kind of the cheat code. Yeah. If you hook up a nitro beer, you just don't know how to make good beer.
Yeah, but I was pleasantly surprised where I'm getting at. I just didn't see it on the can because it was like a matte version of the can, which like I just thought, oh, maybe they just rebranded their brown ale, which I enjoyed and I'd liked before. And then I noticed it like right after I opened it, and like there's like a little obviously like tag on the can, and I was like, oh, here we go, and did the nitro pour and was just literally and figuratively buzzing, as it was obviously incredible. A way to make a good beer even better. Yeah,
literally and figuratively. That's impressive. Okay. Real quick, we've got post-game scrum. Joe Smith via Dean Evison on Matt Boldy. There's sometimes we'll take accountability, but there's sometimes a player has got to step up. I don't care how old you are, and I don't care what's going on. Those guys get paid a lot of money to score goals and play better. Some guys aren't.
Wow. Candid. I love it.
I don't disagree. I think that is very accurate. Oh, and I didn't even see following, but Minnesota Wild prospect Jimmy Clark scores the OT winner. Absolutely beautiful.
Hell yeah. Well, before we get into some NHL talk, then obviously we'll continue to take your guys' comments between segments here, and they'll be Wild focused, I imagine. And then we'll end off the show with just a full-on heavy Wild segment. But before we jump into some just NHL talk, league-wide news, and obviously talking about the standings now that it's post-US Thanksgiving, I just roll my eyes because Christmas is in a few weeks now. It's just such
a few weeks. It's in 4 weeks. It's a month. It's literally November 26th. Christmas is December 25th. Calm down, dude.
Too close. It's too close. I get anxiety just thinking about it.
Right. Anyway. Because you're from Canada.
Buddy. What's up, MPH? I've asked this before. Can the Wild trade a player who has a no move clause in their extension contract?
Yes, you can, as long as they don't have a no trade clause as well. But
Glenn,
generally speaking, there is a no trade clause that gets tacked on with the no move clause.
Yeah.
Check Cap Friendly if you don't already, and this is just a PSA for everyone. CapFriendly.com. They're generally like spot on with their stuff. I think I've maybe caught them like once or twice in the past couple of years. Go there, you can hover over and it'll say like NMC, whatever, and it'll give you all of the details right there next to the player. Sometimes it gets a little bit dicey because it can vary from year to year, or like say, oh, starting this date, it'll kick into something else. But usually you're going to see some level of no trade protection that's lined up with that no move clause.
Yeah, they've come like a long way too, because it's no longer just like Wikipedia in the sense that like people are constantly like monitoring it and like obviously those who were running it and updating it manually. Now it's like they have a whole team, they have funding. I'm sure there's like some AI to it as well. So like it's a well-oiled machine now, and they've come a long way. So shout out to Cap Friendly there, because I know you've been following them for a while, and same on my end. Glenn, and again, appreciate you, Glenn, for joining the show. The only way out of this mess is to trade Dewar, Duhaime, and Maroon this year. Bring up the rookies, and next year the 2-3 Russians and Ugrin have to be in the lineup next year. 17, 89, 38 on the fourth line. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack, Hoppy.
I definitely agree with parts of it. And you know what? If I have to say agree or disagree, I agree.
Yeah. And he follows it up with this here too, which again, I think you can
we
empathize with.
we can all empathize here. No one wants Dewar and Duhaime gone. Guaranteed one's gone after this year. Possible that both are, which is a bummer. You know what though? I think that Duhaime and Maroon are going to be your best deadline trade chips, especially if the Wild continue on this track and it's not working. I don't think Maroon wants to be here and go through that bullshit. I think there's plenty of teams that saw what kind of impact he's had so far this year. Are you trading him for a first? No, but you can get something back and open up a spot to hopefully see one of the younger players get up into the lineup. And I think all three of those players that you listed are going to make it into the lineup next year? No, I don't. Do I think that Marat Huznadinov is primed and expected to be part of the group next year? I do. I think that they're not going to hand it to him, but he's going to have a lot of rope coming in, and he's going to have to fuck up pretty bad to not get a shot with the big club. I don't think that, just given the setbacks for Liam Ugrin, like probably not going to happen right away. And Danila Yurov, he's kind of a coin flip for me. Like, he's going to come in. He'll probably start in the AHL. Wouldn't shock me if he proved early on that he needs to be up at the big club, but kind of a wait and see. Same thing for Ugrin. Like, maybe by the end of next year, I'm with you. But to start the year, Huznadinov's the only one I really see having a chance.
Yeah, he's ready, man. He's ready. I can't wait.
Well,
Big
again,
fan.
he's so versatile. You can throw him wherever, and it's going to work.
Yeah. Is cap friendly just too valuable for a team like the Rangers to just buy them out and have them work for their team exclusively?
I think there's a lot of teams we can say that about.